what the definition of insanity is. Insanity is doing the exact same fucking thing over and over again, expecting shit to change. That is crazy.
Vaas Montenegro was the most iconic villain in the Far Cry series, a psychotic, unpredictable, but charismatic pirate brought to life by the starring of Michael Mando. His performance was so fantastic that even Vaas was killed by the main character Jason Brody halfway through Far Cry 3. This insane man's own definition of insanity forever stuck in our heads, compared to the game's main hero, who was a lost young tourist from California finding himself trapped in a Rook Island and forced to embark on his journey of becoming the warrior of his true self. Vaas had much more personality, sparkling with interesting philosophical monologues, his complicated past, and insanely charming and charismatic leadership abilities. In this video, I'm showing you what I think are the top 3 most charming and charismatic qualities of Vaas. As shown in the footage of Vaas Montenegro experience, Vaas was a master of creating his own sadistic mind games. He could turn the most common and uninteresting object, and even people, into a clever part of his play, and he never forgets to have fun in the most creative way. Like a naughty child, he enjoyed piggyback rides, but with his captured prisoner, forced a hooker to play with him the Wheel of Fortune, but only there was no fortune. He loved playing with his toy gun, but only it shot real bullets. He dug a hole in the beach sands and buried his imaginary friend, but only he was an actual movie star, Christopher Mintz-Plasse. Vaas even experimented with batteries, spiders, firecrackers in the bucket, and peed on his head. His actions and behaviors all seemed so wrong, childish, and violent, but somehow Vaas was able to provoke something within us, the carefree and fun-loving mischievous kid that we all were in our childhood. When we were young, we all experienced life with much more spark and intensity, with the spirit of being humorous, naughty, curious, and always open to new experiments and explorations. As we get older, our spark gradually fades away. Our minds also tend to tighten up around certain conventional ideas and beliefs, dulling the full color of life. Even most people defined Vaas as the bad guy, but you know what? I think we all should have a bit more of his playfulness in us. Of course, without his violence, and try not to bully or hurt anyone. At the end of the day, our life is only as stressful and serious as we make it. We are all heading towards death in this short adventure of life, so why not turn our lives into something more fun, like a game that Vaas plays? And ask yourself every day before doing your daily mundane task, how can I make this more fun? Our minds are like a search engine, an answering machine. If you ask yourself, what is so shit about my life? You're going to attract more shitty and negative stuff into your life. But when we ask ourselves, how can I make this more fun? We shift the focus of our minds towards something more interesting and creative, making the inevitable sufferings in our life slightly more bearable and even more fun to experience. Come on, just take a look at the face of our star. What a beautiful and innocent smile he has. Don't you wish to be happy like him? It's because of Vaas's second quality that we could understand him, empathize with his motives, and even relate to him. Vaas's strength here is actually also his weakness. That's his vulnerability and his broken psyche. That makes him seem so much more real, more human, and forgivable. If we understand the backstory of Vaas, we couldn't help but feel a bit of sympathy and even sadness for him. Citra was the beloved sister of Vaas. She was known to the rebels as their warrior goddess. Citra was a mystical and superstitious female leader for the Rakyat, kind of like Joseph Seed in Far Cry 5. Cunningly sexy and obsessed with the Rakyat mythology, she was hungry for power and determined to return her tribe to its former glory. Vaas would once do anything for her. In fact, the first person he killed was for her sister's fanatic cause. However, Citra had grown excessively demanding, and her means of manipulative control over Vaas only drove his mental state to the edge, finally driving Vaas insane and turning against Citra and her tribe. Through the conversations with Vaas, we could see that he was a tormented soul, with lots of anger and resentment towards his sister and family. Vaas's obsession with his own monologues was also a form of his insecurities and sign of his fragile ego. If we pay close attention to his speeches, Vaas would often repeat his sentences, as if he couldn't help but show his obsessive-compulsive tendencies.
Is it going to be them or me? Me or them?
The conflicting and opposite characters of Vaas, such as his hyper-aggressive masculinity, blended with his occasional feminine touches of sentimental moments. His childlike playfulness and love of life, blended with his dark yearning for death, made Vaas such a compelling and unforgettable character. Whether we know it or not, we all have some form of compulsive patterns and insecurities. It might be an obsession, a resentment, or some fetish lust for pleasures. Trying to conceal our vulnerabilities from others all the time would only make us seem too one-sided and overly repressed, unconsciously emitting a holier-than-thou attitude, which could drive people away and make us more isolated. Like Vaas, knowing when to show some of your vulnerabilities would only attract more loyal followers. Turning your weakness into strength is an art of power. But of course, in the end, you should strive to break your compulsive patterns, or they will end up controlling you. Vaas was a deeply toxic narcissist. This was also a result of his traumatic childhood and difficult relationship with his sister, Citra. Citra was also a deep narcissist herself, too self-absorbed in her own quest to power within the Vakiat. Her constant need for controlling everyone, including Vaas, suffocated Vaas to the level that caused him to have a sharp break in his early psychological development. Vaas had never received enough encouragement and validations from his family, which were such important requirements for building a consistent and realistic sense of self. The result was that Vaas had no foundation for self-esteem and became completely dependent on the attention he can get from others to make him feel alive and worthy. Let's face the truth, narcissists can also be quite charming and fascinating. Until they get closer to you, you might never find out how annoying, frustrating, and even dangerous they can be. Here are 3 signs that shows Vaas's deep narcissism, defining the character of Vaas and kind of make him even more charming in Far Cry 3. Constant need for attention. Vaas loved to be the center of attention, and he was constantly role-playing. He could switch anytime from the role of being an entertaining host of his torture show to the creative director of his own sadistic movie and games. He was actually quite talented and never failed to make his behavior even more extreme and grandiose in order to get noticed. He also enjoyed playing as the wise philosopher, sharing his own fucked up philosophy and perspective of life to Jason with a real conviction. Robert Greene in The Laws of Human Nature named a type of narcissist the theatrical narcissist. This title will suit Vaas perfectly. Extreme confidence but oversensitive ego. Deep narcissist like Vaas frequently shows extreme self-confidence. He led his men with a natural ease and charisma, making him quite a good leader of the pirate gang. This always helps to gain new admirers and covers his inner emptiness and broken sense of self. However, when his confidence is challenged or insulted, he would react with great rage and thirsting for revenge. Vaas was also quite prickly and oversensitive, almost taking everything personally.
I'm sorry, I don't like the way you are looking at me, okay?
See other people as extensions of himself. Deep narcissists have a complex relationship with other people. They tend to see others as extensions of themselves, also known as self-objects. People exist as instruments for attention and validation. Their desire is to control them like they control their own arm or leg. Vaas seemed to view Jason as a mirror of himself, perhaps his past self. Despite his numerous attempts at killing Jason, in the end, Vaas showed his secret and twisted desire to use Jason as the trigger to end his own miserable life. Hoping he would somehow be redeemed in the afterlife, Vaas would become Jason, and Jason would become Vaas.
Take me into your heart! Accept me as your savior! Nail me to the fucking cross! And let me be reborn!
Vaas is such a great and memorable villain, not because of his murderous or psychopathic behaviors, but it is because we feel for his weakness and insecurities too. Who doesn't crave for our carefree childhood nostalgia? Who doesn't have any compulsive patterns in their life? Heck, we might all even be a little bit of a narcissist too, just not as deep as Vaas. As long as we try to find a way to transform our self-love into empathy for others, we can still find the love that Vaas has spent his whole life searching for. Thank you for watching. If you would like more videos about charismatic video game heroes mixed with awesome video game music and self-help life advice, make sure you subscribe to our channels, be an inspired gamer and Miseyxo. See you in our next video.